Bim! Guess what? It's just gone 10 o'clock. It's a Sunday, and for the last time in 2024, it's what a week's news that was. Still can't get it right. It's the where I look at the week's news and then give my opinion on it, which you may agree or disagree with. It's entirely up to you. That's the whole point of these things, is for you to either agree or disagree what I'm doing. The main thing is to think about what I'm talking about and the news in general. A lot of stuff's gone on this week, including 2 air crashes, both of which are a bit weird, and various other political things. So we will have a look. Viva Mark, welcome to the chat. Don't forget, if you're watching this live, you can join in the chat to give your opinion. I'll give you a shout out at the end of the programme as well. And this is the last one on a Sunday for what a week's news that was. I think it's going to be on Thursdays from next year, which technically is not next year. Technically, next year is... When is next year? About 3 days off. Yeah. So it's interesting times ahead. Give you a sneak peek of the studio for next year. It's all a work in progress, but that's what we're probably going to be looking like in 2025. Although it may well look completely different. You know, these things go. Anyway, we'll crack on with the news of the moment. And the news of the moment is that there's a lot of stuff going on around the world, even though it's Christmas. And normally Christmas is a bit of a quiet time when it comes to news and such likes. However, not this year, sadly, because most of it's dreadful, as you could imagine. I mean, the news, yeah. I mean, all this miserable news does get a bit miserable. Anyway, shall we start with the world's news then? So this is Monday, the 23rd of December 2024. King records his speech in a chapel in a former hospital, and apparently that was the main headline of the news. I think we need to get more interesting news out. They're not very bright for some reason. It's better. The shooter in the New York City murder assassination pleads not guilty in court, and revised figures say there was 0% growth between July and September, as in zip nothing. Labour have basically done nothing, and I know people are going to be losing their jobs in a few months, although they don't. Tuesday the 24th, which is Christmas Eve, protests in Damascus over a Christmas tree being burnt. Now, Damascus has been taken over by a terrorist group, or a former terrorist group, still recognised as a terrorist organisation. Yeah, I'm back on the Guinness. And they've basically got rid of the government that's been in for, well, I use the term loosely, dictator that's been in for the last 50 years. And a Christmas tree gets burnt. They say it's nothing to do with them, but people are very worried now that it may go the way of Afghanistan, and women will have no rights, etc, etc, etc. Hello Smiley Mac, hope you're good as well. Wednesday the 25th, the Christmas Day. King's Christmas message: give thanks to the NHS staff who've been treating him and the Princess of Wales, Catherine. Meanwhile, a plane crashes and dozens are feared dead, and rumours are it may have been shot down, and this is in Kazakhstan, of all places. Biden condemns Christmas Day, rocket attack and drone attack on electric infrastructure in Ukraine by Russia. And Gail Platt leaves Coronation Street, and she was 73. The actress, not the actual character. I think the character's about 60. But yeah, she's 73 years old. And I watched it because I assumed there was going to be some crash or something going on, but nothing happened. She just got in a Jaguar and drove off. Spoilers! Yeah. Anyway, don't normally watch Corrie, but there you go. Thursday the 26th, which is Boxing Day. Apparently nothing to do with boxing. Has Russia shot down the passenger plane? They won't talk about speculation on the crash, where 29 people amazingly survived. If you've seen the footage of the plane coming down, it's amazing anyone survived. And I would give advice, if you ever get on a plane, try to sit as far back as you can. Because twice this week, that has made a difference between life and death. It's reported on Boxing Day that it's been very quiet on High Street. 10%, near enough 10% down. Some big retailers were closed, including Marks and Spencer's, Next, Poundland, and various other ones. Now, back in the day when I was a kid, all the shops were shut on Boxing Day, and the big sale started in January the 1st, and there were people queuing up outside Harrods and places like that to get the best bargains. And they'd be queuing up for like 2 or 3 days. Some people can queue up for a week. But now they do Black Friday. Black Friday is in November. So all the sales have actually happened already. So it does seem a bit pointless. That said, I was open on Boxing Day and had a cracking day. Thank you very much. Cracking toast, granite. The IDF strike international airport in Yemen, as well as other targets in Yemen. This is their ongoing war against basically the world. But of course, everyone supports them. Except for me, which caused a bit of derision in the shop a couple of weeks ago. But there you go. I'm right, they're wrong. Well, no one's right really. The whole thing is a complete cluster mess. Friday the 27th. Now this is a very, very, very news-heavy day. A lot went on Friday. Bear in mind, nothing normally goes on at this time of year. So, IT, by the way. White House says the passenger jet, was possibly shot down by Russia, and the airlines say it was external interference, which usually means a missile. There are marks on the plane that suggest that it was externally hit, because you've got some of the fuselage which has remained, and there's puncture holes going into it, not coming out of it. And you've also got the video that someone shot. Kelly and Rollo's back, as well as Stephen. Hi, hope you're good. And yeah, it's just shocking if that is the case. Anyway, we'll find out later on. Meanwhile, undersea cables have been sabotaged. This is Power for Estonia. An oil tanker has been boarded by Finland, the Eagle S, and it's one of those tankers that kind of Russia uses to beat the embargo on oil going to Russia. So basically they bought a load of tankers that are absolutely crap and break up in storms, as we saw a couple of weeks ago, and they're not registered anywhere, they're not insured, and they're claiming, the Finnish people are claiming that this Eagle S tanker dragged an anchor to cut the cable. So you can put an anchor in the water, and obviously if it digs into the ground, then it stops the ship moving, but it won't stop the ship moving if you're on full power. So what they're saying is that this ship has deliberately dropped an anchor and gone on full power and actually snapped the cables, which is a very dangerous thing to do, because these are very extraordinarily high voltage cables. They've also reckoned that it's been done before with internet cables as well. I mean, we all think the internet is kind of up in the air, up in the sky, up there somewhere, all Wi-Fi and everything. But a lot of it is run under cables, and that is a problem, because they can be damaged. There's 1 million miles of cables and gas pipes under the sea around the world. NATO promised to enhance their presence in the Baltic Sea, although they've not gone any further with it. Hi Angela, hope you're well. Disruption to travel due to fog, many flights cancelled. This was ongoing pretty much all the way through Christmas. Solar probe is safe and working after passing the sun by just 3 million miles, which sounds a lot, but then you realise it's the sun. That's not a lot at all. That's literally, my face was the sun going like that. You won't want to do that with my face. Camilla Hospital has staff forcibly removed IDF claim it was a Hamas stronghold, as they do. The hospital now, which is one of the only functioning hospitals in Gaza, is now completely bereft of any patients or anything else. And again, war crime. South Korea vote to impeach the temporary Prime Minister. Now, South Korea voted to impeach the previous Prime Minister. This Prime Minister that they've just impeached was a Prime Minister who was to replace the one who was impeached, who then said that the people who the opposition, the judges, should impeach, or be the judges for the impeachment of the original Prime Minister. The new temporary Prime Minister said that those people cannot impeach the old Prime Minister because he doesn't like them particularly. So now he's been impeached as well, and therefore will no doubt have to face maybe them people, which means basically he's going to get impeached. You don't go to prison for impeachment. You're just no longer President, Prime Minister, whatever. Could do with impeachment over here, couldn't we? Let's be honest. I mean, the whole thing is an absolute cluster mess. Saturday the 28th. Putin apologises for the plane crash, but doesn't take the blame. Although another Soviet spokesperson said that at the time Ukraine was using drones in the area and there were anti-aircraft activity from Russia, but they've not said they actually targeted or hit the plane. And it was foggy. I don't think fog really matters because planes have transponders and things like that. It's not the first. I mean, sorry. Anyone would think it was the first time Russia had shut down an aeroplane. Yeah, it's not that. 49-year-old in court for murder of 2 women in Milton Keynes on Christmas Day. As we'll see later on, they also injured 2 people, including a 17-year-old and a dog, which had to be put down. Keir Starmer, sir, calls on industry regulators to come up with proposals to help boost the economy. Isn't that his job? Isn't that what he and Robin Rachel Reeves have been meaning to do since they seized power by getting 1 million less votes than what they got in 2019? I mean, it's like me saying to people who work at CX, oh, can you just work out my prices in my shop, please, so I can make more money? It's insane. Absolutely insane. Keir Starmer is not fit for purpose. Neither is the entire cabinet. I think they should all be impeached. Can we impeach? Can we impeach in the UK? I'm not sure we can, but we should be able to, especially with this numpties. I mean, Liz Truss. Sunday the 29th, second plane crash. This one is in South Korea. All but 2 crew are dead. The 2 crew were sat right at the back of the plane in basically the tail area of the plane. Now, this plane had a problem with its landing gear, that it didn't come down, and it basically landed on the runway with no landing gear, therefore no brakes, slid down the runway and smashed into a concrete wall, which basically destroyed the entire plane and the lives of everyone on it, apart from these 2 cabin crew right at the back of the plane. Haven't we got to the stage now where there should be at least one airport in a country where there is somewhere for a plane to land that has got landing gear failure and it will not just slide off the runway and hit something, even if it's just a massive area of land that is grassy or gravel or water or something. Surely there must be something rather than a plane sliding down the entire length of a runway, pretty much. I've seen the video, it's horrific, and then smashing into a wall, killing everyone on board. I don't understand why we're not at a stage where we've got better protection for people on planes. I mean, don't get me wrong, the plane incident in Kazakhstan was a different one due to the fact that it had been external factors that brought that one down. But we do have a lot of planes that have landing gear failure, and it just seems that one in a country, or even one in like Northern Europe. I mean, I'd sooner land in Germany than get splattered in a concrete wall in Manchester Airport. Just saying. Anyway, horrific, horrible things. President of Albania accuses Russia of trying to cover up its involvement. The plane was actually an Albanian plane, and the president of Albania, who I thought was a friend of Russia, is basically accusing Russia of covering all this up and saying it's took too long for them to admit that they've done it, even though they haven't admitted they've done it, although they've admitted there was stuff going on when this plane was possibly maybe hit by something. Meanwhile, £100,000 worth of signalling cable has been stolen off the railway tracks over Christmas between Bolton and Preston, causing huge amounts of disruption, cancellations, etc. Again, infrastructure. You don't need someone walking up and down there all the time, but surely they have cameras. Surely they have, even if it's one every 5 miles. £100,000 worth of cabling is a lot of cabling. That's a lot of effort to get it. And then my other argument is, and this has been my argument forever, when people steal statues, when people steal brass plates off war memorials, when people steal the cabling from like underground networks such as Telewest or Virgin Telewest, or stuff off the railway lines. They only steal it so they can sell it. So you prosecute whoever has it, whoever buys it, whatever scrapyard takes it, you prosecute them and you shut them down and you put these people in prison. So there's nowhere for these criminals to actually sell the stuff. And if someone comes to your place of work where you buy and sell scrap metal with, like a huge amount of cabling with no doubt Network Rail written all over it, you're not going to go, yeah, I'll buy that off you. You're going to go, get that off my yard, get that out of my thing, I'm bringing the police right now. It simply doesn't make sense. And the trains weren't running properly, were they, over the festive period, as they don't. Therefore, if people get on there and they cut the cable, and I dare say they've cut it I don't think they've just rolled it up and put it on a big roll. I reckon they've probably cut it between various places, so it's kind of intermittent where they've cut it. So they want to cut it through a railway station, or maybe where there's houses, because there'd be a lot of noise. If anything else, you have to get up there to get to the cable. So yeah, the whole thing is just weird. And I think it's time that we actually do look at where people sell this stuff, rather than the people doing it. And that way, fingers crossed, we will end up with stuff going on that not stuff going on, what am I doing? Stop the stuff going on, that's it. I knew what I meant. I did. I know. I do believe in angles. I do believe in angles. I do. Anyway, so that is the news from the week, and then we go to news that makes you go or someone was asked in a department store what they thought of the current Prime Minister. They didn't answer. It was weird. Anyway, shall we move on? Meanwhile in Australia, Crocodile Dundee star passes away. A beloved saltwater crocodile who starred in the Aussie classic Crocodile Dundee passed away peacefully over the weekend, according to Crocosaurus Cove, Darwin. Bert, who was believed to be over 90 years old, is set to be honoured at the park with a commemorative sign to celebrate his extraordinary life and legacy. I mean, who knew that crocodiles could live to be 90 years old? That's quite insane. And the fact it died peacefully is reassuring as well. It's a crocodile, come on. Anyway, in Australia, a new survey confirms a rental crisis, with prices up to 3,600 Australian dollars, up to 3,600 Australian dollars higher than a year ago. So that's not the rent. That's how much it's gone up by. Now, 3,600 Australian dollars is about £12.50 in UK currencies. Although having said that, we've got the Labour government, so it's about 300 quid. It's official. Australian renters are far worse off this Christmas than they were last year. While most don't need a survey to confirm the cost of living squeeze, Everybody's Home analysed weekly rent data in Australia capitals, with some cities copying it worse than others. Obviously, cities always get it worser. Now, this is a mystery. In 2017, police in Frankfurt found a car belonging to a 76-year-old man who had forgotten where he parked it 2 decades earlier. 2 decades earlier. And you're like, it's not the crime of the century. Someone loses a car. But over 20 years to find it? I mean, surely even the locals would notice that car's been there for a hell of a long while. I mean, I notice if a car or a van, we've got a van outside my house that's not moved for about 2 or 3 months. Now, I know the owner of it, next door neighbour. There's obviously a problem with it. But if I didn't know it were, I would have still noticed it, and I'd be like, that's a bit weird. And if it was still there in, a couple of months more, then you might get in touch with the authorities and just say, do you want to have a look in the back of this van? There's a horrible smell coming from it, and then that'd get me, wouldn't it? Talking of horrible smells, Rachel Reeves, learning to count book numbers by Miguel. And there's a picture of Rachel Reeves looking very gormless on the front of it. It's basically a mock-up of a Ladybird book. Now, have you ever... Well, you do on Facebook when people have parcels delivered and it's not to their house, and they say, anyone recognise this front door? Or has anyone had a parcel delivered for number 63? Or whatever. Occasionally they do take the pictures. And this, by far, if you haven't seen it already, this is hilarious. This is Amazon proof of delivery photo. And I hope that the Amazon delivery driver took about 3 or 4 attempts to get this photograph, because it is so perfect. I cannot believe that it wasn't, like the 3rd or 4th or 5th attempt to get the picture, because it is absolutely epic. I love it. Now, to be fair, I don't think it's a recent picture, because the tape on the Amazon parcel is not current tape. But, that made me laugh so much when I saw it. It's not often I laugh out loud, but I did on that occasion. There's a sign there saying footpath avoiding Ford, and then someone's pointed out the fact there's a Mondeo there. Seems a bit harsh. If you don't realise, Ford Mondeo, but that's not what they're talking about. A Ford is where you actually drive through a river, which during the storm a few weeks ago, tragically that former British rugby player passed away, having tried to drive through the Ford in his car, but it was a lot deeper than he thought, and his car and himself were swept away. But yeah, someone taking the mickey out of the Ford car there. This is Euston Station. This escalator is refusing to escalate. This has been escalated to the engineer, who is on the way up or down to check it out. Please use the lift. I mean, very, very, very clever sign. I do like it. They could have put more escalates in there, to be fair, but would that have escalated the situation? Probably. Christmas tree decorations. This is one of my favourite ones ever. It also answers the question, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Well, yes, it is, obviously, but John McClane jumping from the Nakajima building, which is currently exploding at the top with the hosepipe wrapped around his middle, and that is the decoration. I would genuinely buy that, and I would put a Christmas tree up for the first time for a very, very long time with that on top of it, because that is ingenious. I mean, it literally is. It's absolute genius. And weirdly, I kind of fallen out with the last leg, and they went all a bit laborious, but they got a bit quiet about that now. But they did the Christmas special where they were dressed up as characters, including Hans Gruber and John McClane and Josh. He ended up being dressed as the Nakatomi building. It's a shame, isn't it? Now, we all know about people looking beautiful on images that they post on social media, and I do it myself a little bit with the pictures that I post on the Games and More Instagram stroke Facebook page, and I do use a filter called Juno. Just makes the colours pop a little bit more, and it's a bit more interesting than just a normal photo. However, if I take a photograph of something such as a PlayStation or a Dreamcast or a Super Nintendo or whatever, it's important people see the actual colour of it, so I actually write without filter or no filter on the picture, so people know that that is the actual thing, but 99.9% of the other pictures I take all have the filter on it. So, can you spot the difference between someone with a filter or without a filter? Well, this is your test here. Left or right without filter? Left or right without the filter? So if you look carefully, you can see whether one's got a filter on or whether one doesn't have a filter. So do you think the one on the left has got a filter, or the one on the right hasn't got a filter? I mean, it actually says it above, thinking about it, so you know. Good evening, Andy the cyclist. Yeah, the answer is the one on the right has no filter, being an air filter from a vehicle, obviously a mechanic, which he's holding in the left-hand picture. Keep up. It's not Christmas until you've told a roll of sellotape to cough. Ah, well, this year I was very clever in my Christmas whapping. What I did was I brought the sellotape dispenser from the shop, and I used that, so I didn't have to tell the sellotape to off, although I have done that in previous Christmases. What's plural of Christmas? Christmases. I know it's caused traffic chaos in Ballycastle in the run-up to Christmas, but it'd be great to have under-road heating when the snow arrives and we're shivering in temperatures of maybe 15 degrees C over Christmas. Stay brave, people. So yeah, basically, this is something I've never figured out why we don't do this on, quite a lot. Underfloor heating for roads, or certainly pedestrianised areas. It doesn't have to be, that you can walk barefoot on it. I mean, it doesn't have to be like that, but just, reduce the risk of things freezing, and particularly the elderly, and I'm getting there now, slipping and breaking a hip or something. It'll save money on the NHS in the long run. You know I'm right. You know I'm right. Don't argue with me. You know I'm right. In just 2 years, China used more cement than the US did in the entire 20th century, thanks to its massive city growth and building boom. The problem is, a lot of these cities have since been demolished due to the fact that people didn't move into them, or they were built without planning permission, or they weren't built to even China. Would you believe it? China have building standards. So yeah, it's a massive waste of concrete. However, their road networks are spectacular. Although if you suffer from photosensitivity, then I recommend you don't drive at night on their roads, because they literally every 50 yards have cameras that take flash pictures of you, and that would literally blind you and make you vomit and throw up. Christmas jumpers for the Labour cabinet. Keir Starmer's got one saying Granny Killer. Rachel Reeves from Accounts has got one that says Accounts. Tony Blair, who, let's be honest, is pulling the strings, has got a rack on his Christmas jumper. Angela Rayner has got Chav on hers, and Greta is on Ed Miliband's because he's the green that we've got at the minute. who's basically destroying the country quicker than anyone's ever done. It's certainly quicker than global warming will destroy the country. Ed Miliband is going to do it single-handedly. So well done, Ed. You, sir, are a star. Now, have you ever seen videos, particularly on social media, where, I don't know, there's a stain on a carpet you can't get out, or there's a broken tile on a floor or a wall and they have to remove the tile to put a new tile in it? So basically how to. Well, have you ever seen it done on bread? Well, now you have. My whole meal loaf had a few holes in some of the slices, so I decided to repair on one. Turned out pretty good, I think. If you close one eye and squint, you can hardly notice it. And then he's added, I'm a virgin post, so please be gentle with me. No, I think it's really good. I mean, obviously, sacrifice another piece of perfectly good bread to do it. That's the whole point. That's the joke, which he's actually putting across. So, yeah, fair play. Cost of living crisis in Australia. Which grocery items have gone up the most? New data shows Aussie consumers are grappling with big price hikes in everyday goods and services. The cost of a number of supermarket items has gone up in the last 2.5 years, according to new analysis, with some common household staples increasing the most, which is exactly what we've got going on in the UK. Everyone keeps saying, oh, the UK economy, oh, it's the Tory government, oh, it's the Labour government. It's not. We're allowing corporations, we're allowing people like Tesco and Asda and Coles and Woolworths in Australia to basically just make stuff up in order to put their prices up to make more profit. When there's a massive economic crisis going on for everyone in the country and the world, they're just cashing in. Cost of greed crisis, exactly, under the cyclist. Teach your kids labour economics. Pay your kids £10 a week for washing the dishes, cleaning and tidying their bedrooms, then deduct £7 and give it to the next door kids for doing call, lesson over. And now this is basically saying that the old people who've worked all their lives and earned themselves a nice pension, which they didn't have to do, are now being victimised against the scroungers. I mean, there are people genuinely, you know, if you have a disability or you have some mental health issues or whatever, there's a valid reason for you not working, absolutely fine. But we all know there are some absolute wastes of spaces who were just claiming off the government and getting everything they want, and it annoys me. And the people who are paying for it are the people who are paying taxes. So you're paying your taxes because you're working hard, and it's subsidising people who are just too lazy to actually go out and get a job. So yeah, labour economies is basically what that is. And they reckon they're trying to improve growth and everything else. But absolute, impeached with a lot of them. Some people say worse, including heads on poles. I think it's a bit too far, but you know. In about 80 years, the dead will outnumber the living on Facebook. Well, I'll be one of them in 80 years, definitely. The dead will people aren't poor because their neighbours is out of work. I don't believe that. People should kick other people down just for their gain. I'm not kicking other people down just for their gain, Andy. What I'm saying is there are people out there who are perfectly capable of working but can't be arsed doing because they get that many benefits off the government that it's not worth their while doing it. And that's not fair. You know, if you've got a genuine reason to not work, I don't have a problem with that. But if you're just a sponger, take your money off you. I don't care. All these druggies, all that kind of thing, nah. Anyway, Facebook. In 80 years, the dead will outnumber the living on Facebook. To be fair, I'm pretty sure all of us watching this, unless you're 5. Not you, mate, it's just the media that control. People think, oh, the media control, yeah. Well, you know me and the media. We're falling out massively at the minute. The dead will eventually outnumber the living on Facebook, according to a new study whose authors want us to think more about the importance of preserving our collective digital histories. The phenomenon could take place within the next 50 years, though it will likely take longer, according to research paper. I mean, I'll be going in less than 50 years, unless I live to be 100 and God knows what. So, it's not going to happen. I'd be happy if it lasts another 10 years, to be fair. According to research paper for the University of Oxford Internet Institute, published on April 23 in the Journal of Big Data. So yeah, basically, people are obviously dying. We all know people, I know people who've died who still have profiles on Facebook. Obviously, it's not been updated, although I think it is creepy when people update profiles on Facebook when people have died, like it's them, and they're like, no. And one of the things I like about my YouTube channel is that when I'm dead and gone, in the next 10, 20 years, whatever, 5 years, 3 years, 2 weeks, if the council have anything to do with it, that my family will have something to look back on. And, you know, what is a question for you? What are the first names of all 8 of your great grandparents? This is how quick we forget our family ties. I mean, I know Catherine, my great grandma was called Catherine, but that's the only one I know. To be fair, I don't know my father's side of the family at all, so that doesn't really bother me. And I know my granddad was Jim, and my grandma was Hilda, which is my mum's mum and dad. And obviously I know my mum's name and all that, but it doesn't take long before you've forgotten. So I think stuff like this will be interesting for, you know, generations in 30, 40, 50, 60 years to look back on and go, oh my God, that was my great granddad, or, you know, my great uncle, or, you know, that idiot who walked around Wigan taking the mickey out of Wigan Council because they're useless, and they still haven't finished building the Grand Arcade, and that was the gallery, sorry, and that was started 100 years ago, that kind of thing. So yeah, there is a company that will actually delete your entire history online if you pay them when you die. A code is sent to them and they automatically delete everything that you've ever posted, but I think that's a shame. We're only on this earth for less than a second in terms of how long the earth has been around, and hopefully it's around for a long time to come. I reckon you're probably thinking more of a 100,000th of a second in the scheme of things. It does feel longer though, doesn't it? The most consumed type of meat by country. Now, where do you think the UK comes in? What is the meat we eat most? I know what mine is. It has feathers and clucks. That's right. England, it is. Yeah, chicken. I had to look then. Russia, it's chicken as well. And in fact, a lot of Europe it is, well, Eastern Europe it's chicken. In France, it's fish and seafood, as it is in Portugal. Pig meat, so pork, is massive in Spain, Ireland, and most of Europe. Australia, their poultry, as is the whole of North America. And Argentina is the world leader in bovine meat, so that's cows, with 46.9 kilograms per person in Argentina. Now that's where the corned beef comes from, and I do like a bit of corned beef. Kazakhstan is also a meat-eating country, as is a lot of East Africa, whereas West Africa is more of your fish and seafood. Other meat is Botswana. So what other meat is there when we've got fish and seafood, poultry meat, mutton and goat meat, which is Algeria and Macau, and Afghanistan and Mongolia. Mongolia is the leader there with 66.3 kilograms of mutton and goat meat in a year per person of the population. Pig meat, the biggest eater of that is actually Australia. They eat Hong Kong, but they eat 52.2 kilograms of pig meat, but they also eat 68.5 kilograms of fish meat. So my God, the greedy bastards in Hong Kong, aren't they? Iceland is the world leader of fish and seafood, 90.6%. So basically everything they eat is that. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines is the world's leader in poultry meat with 74.7 kilograms per member of the population. I'm sure I eat that in a night. I had chicken for me tea tonight, to be fair, because I feel like chicken tonight, chicken tonight. Yeah, I'm surprised China's wasn't meat as well, but there you go. Who knew? Well, we do now. At least 120 killed in a plane fire. At least 120 people have been killed in a plane crash in South Korea airport. The Jeju Air passenger plane was carrying 181 people before its front landing gear apparently failed to deploy, crashing into a concrete fence at the airport's town of Muan at 9:03 local time. Yeah, horrific. Absolutely horrific. I mean, I'm not a big plane goer, but I've never really been abroad. I've only been to Ireland. But there you go. The most and least likeable politicians are revealed in Australia. In a poll, I'll be honest with you, I think the most liked and least liked politician in the UK is Nigel Farage. He's both, I would imagine. Because, well, it just is. How to get your kids ready for, the real world when they grow up, particularly at Christmas. You buy them a train set, but you make it realistic because inside it's got a replacement bus service. Ingenious. I love that. So good. And I've seen a few rail replacement buses going around today, probably to do with what we were talking about earlier. Meanwhile, a fish tank in a supermarket bursts, spewing live fish around the entire shop, which is, I mean, at least you know your fish is fresh, don't you? It's obviously in Asia somewhere, but yeah, that's actually still from a video. The fish are literally flapping around, and there's a big one there just above the blue bucket, and it's actually pretty much swimming in like 2 inches of water. It's very peculiar. All we know about the Azerbaijan Airlines crash from mystery holes to the black box. National Day of Mourning was declared, obviously this out of kilter with what we're talking about, declared in Azerbaijan after the flight heading for Grozny, Russia crashed, landed in Kazakhstan with 67 passengers and 5 crew members on board. Amazingly, a lot of people got out of that alive, which is fantastic, but the situation shouldn't have arisen in the first place. Apparently, Earth has no plans for massive volcano eruption it could face, say experts. Scientists believe that the world isn't ready for apocalyptic volcano eruption in the next 100 years, which is thought to be made worse by society's reliance on fossil fuels. Well, hang on a minute. If a volcano erupts and it's cataclysmic, I mean, I'm not saying it's the same as a meteorite hitting like what allegedly killed the dinosaurs. Well, let's go down that route anyway. So we have a huge volcano that just erupts somewhere on the planet and basically coats the entire atmosphere in dust so the sun can't get through. Then all these solar panels we're building are absolute waste of time. I mean, the wind turbines might work, but they just need heavy maintenance all the time because there's a lot of moving parts in them and they're incredibly high up, so they're super expensive to keep running. So that doesn't work. So just build nuclear fucking power stations and just hope one of these super volcanoes, when it erupts anywhere on the planet in the next 100 years, doesn't erupt next to one of these nuclear power stations, and we'll be fine. Absolutely fine. And I don't understand why, it's fossil fuels that's causing it. Well, how are fossil fuels causing that apart from digging it out and reducing the Earth's crust stability? Yeah, okay then. UK hit by a huge earthquake as roaring noise heard while bedroom walls shook. The small village of Gotham, called Batman? No. Nottinghamshire was the centre of an earthquake that measured 2.2 on the scale and was felt by several people in the surrounding area. Huge earthquake. Now, I remember an earthquake in Wigan a good few years ago, and I was sat downstairs and I heard this rumbling. It sounded like an articulated lorry going past the house, and everything started shaking in the house, like stuff on the mantelpiece, and everything started shaking a little bit, and then it just went, and that was that. And that was apparently a massive earthquake as well. Daring Brits take plunge on Christmas Day for festive semi-naked ice swim. Now, there are some people there who are not semi-naked at all. There are many men there who are semi-naked. You will never catch me being semi-naked for no reason whatsoever. But dozens of swimmers bravely called in bikinis and Santa hats on Christmas Day morning for an annual festive swim across the country to help raise money for charities. No, you're alright. I'll pass on that one. Mainly because, I like my bits to be at least the size of a walnut. New Year celebration set to be hit with erratic weather. The start of 2025 is expected to ring in erratic changes in the weather according to the Met Office, bringing rain, stronger winds and even snow in some parts of the UK, but not for long, just while the fireworks are on. I've actually jumped down one here. Shoppers fume at rotten Tesco, Lidl and Sainsbury's turkeys. Christmas is ruined. Tesco, Sainsbury's and Lidl have all come for abuse from angry customers who claim they have been delivered or bought rotten and rancid turkeys for their now ruined Christmas dinner. I bought 2 turkey crowns, one for a test run in my air fryer, which was perfect, apart from a little bit bloody in the middle. And the second one I bought for actual Christmas Day, which I did for 5 minutes longer in the air fryer and was absolutely bob-on perfect. And neither of them were rancid or whatever, and I had 2. So, shoppers rage as Easter eggs flood supermarkets. He's not even been born yet. Shoppers have posted pictures on social media of supermarket shelves stocked with Easter eggs only days after Christmas. Well, he has been born. He was never born anyway. It's all in fairy tale. But, I always joked on Wigan Watch for the last few years, not done it this year because I've not done a Wigan Watch for a while, that you can tell it's nearly Christmas because Cadbury's cream eggs are available in the shops, and the newsagents in Royal Arcade is fully stocked with Cadbury's cream eggs and has been for a couple of weeks. So if you're feeling a Cadbury's cream egg urge, go to the newsagents in Royal Exchange in Wigan and pick up your supplies. Reason Liverpool's clash with Leicester went ahead despite clear fog rule. Well, surely that's a contradiction of terms. How can you have clear fog? Liverpool and City's Premier League clash was given the green light on Boxing Day despite a thick blanket of fog descending on the UK. I don't think it was the only match that got played in fog, to be fair. Wigan had one played. Wigan had a match played when the storm was coming through. And all that shouldn't have been played because it's not a completely surrounded stadia. It's got gaps in every corner, so the wind could literally just blow straight through if it comes in at the right angle. Well, technically, not the right angle because that would hit the stands, so maybe a diagonal angle, you know what I mean. Humans are teetering on the edge with virus close to being a serious problem. An expert has warned that bird flu might become a serious problem next year, claiming that humans are just one mutation away from experiencing a pandemic. I'll tell you what, if we're one mutation away from experiencing a pandemic, stop people marrying their cousins, and that will reduce the mutations. Man United boss Ruben leaves out Marcus Rashford for 4th consecutive game. Manchester United boss Ruben has left out England international Marcus Rashford for the 4th consecutive game, with the Red Devils set to take on Wolves on Boxing Day, apparently. Now, Marcus Rashford was like a dream kid, but he's kind of got preoccupied with politics and stuff like that and missed a penalty years ago. So I have no idea who he is. But I mean, if you're crap, you're not going to get played. You don't get played just because you're, Marcus Rashford or Andy Wayneman or Gail Platt. I don't know. Christmas Day murders in UK flat. Women found dead, boy injured and dog killed. Thames Valley Police's major crime unit has launched a murder investigation following the deaths of 2 women in Bletchley, Milton Keynes on Christmas Day. A man and a boy were also injured while a dog was killed. I assume the dog was trying to protect the people from the attack. But horrific. Again, you can't figure out what goes on in people's minds to carry out such an atrocious crime. The good news, if there is any, is that the person that is thought to be the knife person has appeared in court and is charged with 2 murders and 2 attempted murders. I don't know whether you actually get charged for killing a dog. I don't know whether that's actually against the law. But either way, just scum. And I've said before, death penalty. There are some cases when death penalty should be brought back. And if this person is found guilty, then I think that would be a valid one. Rise of killer robot fridges as expert warns appliances are getting smarter. A rise on super smart home appliances could soon start plotting against us, allegedly. With boffins, experts, warning hackers could soon get access to personal information via fridges. Who types in personal information into a fridge? I mean, don't get me wrong, my fridge is on its last legs. I need a new fridge. But my fridge is on its last legs. It's only a short one. It's a stubby one. It's a fridge freezer, but it's taller. It can't go to the counter, but it just about fits underneath the cupboards. So it's not a full-size one. It's on its last legs. It's got no intelligence whatsoever. It must be 25 years old, if not older. It's ancient, but it still works. I've still got cold pints. My Tesco turkey stayed fresh. So, not a problem. But if I did have to upgrade it and buy a fridge, why would I buy one that's a smart fridge? I mean, why would you buy a smart kettle? I mean, for God's sake, how much effort does it take to go into the kitchen and do that rather than going on an app and then realising that your kettle hasn't got any water in it and you're burning the house down? Yeah, technology is sometimes absolute waste. But I don't think fridges are going to be killer fridges. Because let's be honest, there's one simple thing you can do to stop it from killing you. On the plug. Game over. Unless they hotwire themselves in. Odds of AI wiping out humanity in the next 30 years shortened by Godfather. A technology expert has warned of accelerating progressions in AI development that could be putting humanity in danger, raising the alarm about the threat of AIs that are smarter than people. I reckon there's AI smarter than many people already. But we'll see. South Korea needs Squid Game to see who runs government, says ex-Russian president. Squid Game is back with a second series, but for one armchair viewer of South Korea's scandal-ridden government, it ought to be introduced in real life to decide on the country's next leader. Basically, South Korea is going through what we went through with the Tories, and we are about to go through with Labour. Keir Starmer is not going to last until Easter. If he does, then Labour are dead forever. But anyway, we will see. But Squid Game's version of it, I don't think that was really the solution. I think it's just clever marketing from the... I wonder if you've got any money for that. For, making Squid Games massive in Russia. Talking of Russia, the current president, he's a bit of a nutter. He's a bit mad. He's dangerous. He's a war criminal. He's probably a lot worse than that as well. Well, Putin pardons a war hero who fed rape victims to dogs after mincing their bodies. Vladimir Putin has pardoned a convicted rapist and murderer who fed his victims to dogs before making mates with a cannibal in jail. But this is all because he went to war for Putin in Russia and didn't die. So he's been pardoned. What could possibly go wrong with that? Well, it's just... really, I don't get this planet at the minute. The Jeju Air bird strike caught on camera before fireball that killed 179. Now, this is an alleged airstrike. News is still breaking on this, so we don't really know what's going on. But new horror footage has emerged which reveals the moment birds flew into the engine of the Jeju airplane, which later crashed into a concrete wall and killed 177 people. Now, I'm not saying fake news or anything, but when I saw this plane landing on the runway, it was going a fair lick, and there was no landing gear. Now, if the birds hit the engine, which this picture looks like, then that doesn't really affect the landing gear at all. Plus, if it does affect some of the landing gear, it wouldn't affect all the landing gear. So I don't think that is the main issue, but we will find out. The problem is, though, because it hit a concrete wall at speed, the black box has been severely damaged as well. so there might be very little information on that. But if they can get the cockpit conversations or whatever, or at least what the pilot said to air traffic control, we might have more of an idea what happened. But I think that might be fake news. Experts explain the safest place to sit on a plane for nervous passengers. An expert and plane crash survivor spoke to nervous travellers and revealed which area of the plane's cabin is the safest to sit according to statistics and research. And I'd say it's the bit behind the wing, and I'm not an expert. I just think it's the bit behind the wing, because generally that's the last thing that hits the ground. Very rare you hear of an aeroplane reversing into a mountain. I mean, obviously if you hit a mountain in an aeroplane, you're going to die anyway, but at least you get that fraction of a second longer. Illegitimate ex-footballer becomes president of Georgia, and thousands protest. The far-right footballer Mikhail Kazhin has been sworn in as the ruler of the country, but Georgia's former president refuses to concede, citing election fraud. What, an Eastern European country with election fraud? Surely not. Yeah, Russia, obviously. Witnesses describe moment Jeju plane crashed with scraping metal sound. People in the surrounding area of the fatal Jeju plane crash have spoken about what they saw, as emergency services recovered 2 survivors and it said at least 177 had tragically died. Yeah, but now again, there was no sound to the video I saw, but the video clearly shows the plane completely on the ground, i.e. no wheels whatsoever, and not stopping because there's no brakes when you're like that, and ploughing into a wall at the end of the runway. I mean, numerous questions. Why is there a concrete wall at the end of a runway? I mean, that's probably the most basic thing to do. Maybe you put some kind of netting, not netting, but, you know, fencing or something there, but multiple layers of it. So an aeroplane hits it, it slows it down. Obviously, the people at the front may not survive, but you've got more chance at the back of surviving. Sit behind the wing. If you do survive a plane crash, and you sat behind the wing because you listen to this, don't forget to, any conversation you get, I want half of it. Thank you. I'm joking. And that concludes the news that makes you go, Just in case you're wondering what's going to go on next year, it'll be a different day. I'm toying with the idea of Thursdays because it's like the only day I've got free. And this is an early mock-up of what the news will look like. But we will find out at the time. So yeah, that's what it may look like this time next year with a brand new studio. It's cost me a lot of money to get the studio together. Anyway, let's look at some breaking news. Where are we? There we go. Oh, President Carter has died, aged 100. A few years ago his wife died. Jimmy Carter. Now, I've said this before, but I always thought Jimmy Carter was a decent president, but apparently he was an absolute, complete and utter waste of humanity. But anyway, he's lived to 100 and tragically died, which is a shame, because I think he was being lined up to fight Jake Paul in the next boxing match. Landlord Treasury Minister could face £10,000 fine. Dartford Disneyland plans in ruins as company taken to court. More than 120 Lloyds, Halifax and TSB branches to close next year. Yeah, so it says full list. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Moments before and after the plane crashed. 10 things you shouldn't store in the fridge. Alright, eggs is one of them, but I always put eggs in the fridge. Peru's coast battered. A tsunami has forced closure of 91 ports. Apparently, Angela Rayner and West Streeting amongst Labour big beast to lose the seats to Reform if there was an election now. Anything could happen. Luke Littler is not a nice person, allegedly, as teenager shows different side to world's darts champion. Labour accused of gaslighting as new policy breaks manifesto pledge. What, again? I mean, how many times can they do this and get away with it? 7 people arrested after an 18-year-old was stabbed to death. Ruthless criminals have caused 3 migrant deaths in the Channel, says a minister. The King and Queen are profoundly saddened by the plane crash in South Korea. Bashir al-Assad's wife is barred from the UK for potentially life-saving cancer treatments. Multi-hazard storm to hit New Year's Day with snow, wind and rain warnings in place. Jesus was a Nepo baby. Cruz Beckham hits back at critics after backlash over new song. He's the youngest one, isn't he? No, Romeo's the youngest one. Which is Cruz then? Must be the middle one. Rout over gaudy Indian gastropub built near home of Shakespeare's wife. 6 cabinet ministers will lose seats to reforming general election. Hopefully Lisa Nandy would be one of them. And then migrants cross channel to UK. Picture of. Lots of songs that were made famous by the people that Prince wrote. Norovirus symptoms to be aware of as NHS warns stay indoors as brutal bug hits peak. Reform woos voters before potential by-election test in Labour stronghold. School chiefs turn on Rachel Reeves after shameful VAT raid claim. Kim Jong-un orders divorcing couples to Labour camps under tough new rules. Jeez. Around 100 extremists could enter Britain with their children if Shamar Begin is allowed to return. It would open the floodgates, apparently. Now, Shamar Begin is an interesting character for many reasons. She fled the UK with 2 other friends, female friends, all of whom were about 15 at the time, and ended up becoming part of ISIS. They were basically married off. She had 2 children, both of whom sadly died. Her 2 friends were killed, and she was found in a camp after ISIS had been defeated. And she was asked, now not a teenager anymore, if she knew what was going on, and she said, yeah, I was okay with that. Now that one line is enough for me. Public beheadings, videos of beheadings, people being raped, people being murdered, and yeah, I was okay with that. No, if you come out with stuff like that, you are not a British citizen, full stop. So she should not be allowed in this country. And again, if Labour allow her back in this country, then Labour should never be elected again to any form of power anywhere in the United Kingdom. I am sorry. I would have given her, if she'd have been, I didn't know what I was doing, I'm sorry, it was awful, it was terrible, I couldn't escape. If she'd done that, then I'd have had more sympathy with her, but she didn't. Costco, Aldi and Sam's Club shut down for New Year's Day. Okay. Around 170 retail workers lost their jobs in 2024 after major chains collapsed. More will lose their jobs this year because of all the tax rises. UK snow warning issued. Poor math skills to blame for Britain's benefit crisis, says Santander boss. So yeah, so we literally have breaking news of Jimmy Carter dying whilst I've been on air. What the hell was that? What are you doing? That made me jump then. Cat's done something outside. I think she's jumping in and out of a box. Silence! 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 Silence. What are you doing, baby? Hey? I'm trying to do a serious news programme here. Well, not overly serious, but fairly serious news programme. And you're making noises outside. Are you going to apologise to the the viewers and the listeners. Just going to stretch and put your paws on my arm. Anyway, oh, you've now got a new favourite place to sit, have you? I put a shelving unit over there, and which is now sat on the bottom shelf, which I did leave empty, to be fair, so it's my fault. Anyway, that is it. So, what are we up to? We've had 37 views, 4 concurrent, 6 likes, averages 934 for watching, 940 for watching. Oh, hang on, we've got some breaking news. What's this? Great final news show for 2024 is the 2025 shows, indeed. Which I'm going to try and make a little bit more light-hearted, I'll be honest with you. But I mean, how can you when the news is the way it is? Anyway, Viva Mark, thank you very much for watching. Smiley Mac, Stephen, Kelly and Rollo. Smiley Mac as well was also on board, as was Angela O'Kane, T, a big shout out to T, and to the cyclists. Yeah, you've multiplied. There's more than one of you now. Typical, isn't it? You wait for ages for a cyclist and then 2 turn up at once. Actually, it's the same one. But yeah, that is it. So just keep an eye on the website, well, on YouTube, and make sure you got the notifications bell ticked. And I will let you know when we're doing the news for next year. Like I say, at the moment, it's not really got a title, and this is just a mock-up of the studio. There's a lot more to do to it than that. But weekly news, update, 1st of the 1st 2025, new studio, and all that kind of thing. In fact, I've actually, let's do get rid of that. Click on that. That's got the old globe on it. We've replaced the globe with a brand new exciting globe, which is this one. So there you go, we've got a nice new blue globe to go with a nice new blue studio. And yeah, all being well, you'll be able to join us. I haven't decided what shirt I'm going to wear, so this one's going to get retired. Although it's always annoyed me that the collar is all the way down there. It should really be kind of up there, like that. Should be like that, really, shouldn't it? But I mean, I'm choosing the last time I'm going to wear this after 52 times of wearing it to decide that I need to alter it. But anyway, I'm not doing. So yeah, there you go. Thank you very much. It's been a blast this year. We've covered some horrific stuff, but we've also covered some really good stuff as well, some really funny stuff and some positive stuff as well. So yeah, fingers crossed 2025 won't be as bad as I think it's going to be. So I'm going to clip that and play it back to me next year. But yeah, all being well, I will be seeing you then. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Until then,